Level 1, the daughter. You are 16. You live in a village in Joseon, what Japan calls Korea now. Your family's house is small. Your father's name was changed by government order when you were a child. The country has a Japanese name. You have one too, assigned at school. You use it without thinking. You work in a factory 6 days a week. The machines are loud. The air is full of loose fibers. At the end of each week, you count your wages and keep almost none of it. Your father was conscripted into a labor battalion last year. Your mother works the field behind the house. The money you send home is the difference. The system that surrounds you is not invisible to you. You can feel its weight. Japanese is the language of instruction. Japanese soldiers are in the street. What you own, what you earn, where you go, all of it operates inside a structure that was not built for your benefit. But you are 16. You go home at night. Your mother is there. You know your own name. You don't know yet that you have been noticed. You don't know that being female, poor, and colonial in this particular moment in history is already enough to make you a target. The trap is set. You just haven't stepped in it. Level 2, the deceived. A man comes to your door. He is Korean, but he works with the Japanese administration. He speaks to your mother. He says there are factory jobs. Good wages. Near Osaka, he thinks. Or somewhere like it. You'll send money home. You'll be back before the new year. Your mother asks if it's safe. He says yes. She makes a mark on a paper. You don't see what it says. You're on a train by morning. There are other girls in the car. Some younger than you. A girl from 2 streets over sits across from you. You talk for the first hour. Then the man who brought you walks through the car and you both go quiet. The train goes further than Osaka. Much further. You cross water. The land looks wrong. At a port, a truck with canvas sides. The road gets rough and long. The air smells like something you don't recognize. You grip your bag. Everything you own is in it. The girl from your street takes your hand. You hold on. Nobody says where you are going. You will understand later that this was also deliberate. People who know where they are going ask questions. People who don't know go where they are taken. Level 3, the renamed. The truck stops at a building. Soldiers are everywhere. A woman meets you at the entrance. Her face is very still. She gives you a Japanese name. She says it twice. She tells you to remember it. Then she takes your photograph. You don't understand yet why the photograph is taken. You will understand within the hour when you see the photographs of other women displayed at the entrance for soldiers to choose from. Your room is barely large enough for a mat. A curtain where a door should be. A nameplate on the wall with your Japanese name and a number. The first night ends your life as you had known it. Women who resist are beaten in front of the others. You learn this on the second day, when the girl 2 curtains down refuses. They do not close anything. The lesson is for everyone. You say your Japanese name when they call it. You stop saying it like a question. You say it flat, like a fact, like something that just exists. Every night before you sleep, you say your real name quietly. Not out loud, just in the back of your throat. Just to keep it somewhere safe. Level 4, the indebted. There is a ledger. The operator shows it to you at the end of the first week. Your transport, he says, your food, your room, your uniform. All of it was entered as debt upon your arrival. The number in the column is more than a year's wages from the factory. You are paid in military scrip. It is paper printed by the Japanese army. It cannot be spent outside the station. It cannot be exchanged for real currency. It buys small items at the station commissary. It cannot buy distance. It cannot buy home. Each day you are required to serve a set number of men. The number increases after combat operations, when the soldiers come back from the field in large groups. The operator marks each one in the ledger. The script you receive does not match the markings. The math never works in your favor. The debt is always larger at the end of the week than the beginning. You ask once how much longer it will be. He shows you the column. The number is bigger than last week. You stop asking after that. The debt was never meant to be paid off. You will come to understand this the way you come to understand anything here. Slowly and with no way to unknow it. The debt is not a debt. It is a door made of numbers. You were already through it when they showed you where it was. Level 5, the surviving. You have been here for months. Maybe longer. Time has changed shape. You have memorized a point on the ceiling of your room, every crack in it. You go there when you need to go somewhere else. You have learned things. Which soldiers are more dangerous? Which hours are the worst? How to make yourself small without visibly shrinking? The women who had been here longer passed this knowledge without being asked, in glances and small warnings spoken so quietly they hardly existed as sound. Under your mat there is a photograph from home, your mother's hands. You check that it is still there each morning before anything begins. A new girl arrives. She is younger than you were when you came. She cries the first night and the second. On the fourth night, you sit outside her curtain and say nothing. You are just there. You don't have words that help. Presence is not nothing. The woman who sat outside your curtain once, you never learned what happened to her. Some women simply aren't there one day. You've stopped letting yourself wonder about specific women. You still say your real name every night. It is getting harder to remember what it sounded like when other people used it. Level 6, the ill. The military doctor comes every week. The examination is not for your health. It is to determine whether you remain functional. A functional woman continues working. A woman who is no longer functional is a different kind of problem. The doctor's fast. He records numbers in a chart. Your Japanese name is at the top. You have learned not to resist the examination because resistance has consequences, and consequences make the week harder. Women who become too sick are removed. A woman down the corridor develops a fever that goes on too long. One morning she is taken out. She is not brought back. Nobody asks where she went. The question itself is dangerous because the answer is also a warning. You learn to hide symptoms. A fever you can manage for 4 or 5 days with cold water and stillness. An injury you can sometimes conceal. The point is not to be noticed as a problem. Problems are solved and not in your favor. You make it through each weekly examination. Every time, something in you responds with what can only be called relief, even though relief is not the right word for surviving something that should never have been yours to survive. Still here, in this place, still here's the whole of it. Level 7, the abandoned. On August 15th, 1945, Japan surrenders. The guards leave first. Then the operator, the soldiers stop coming. Within a day, sometimes overnight, the station empties of everyone who ran it. The structure that organized every hour of your existence for years simply stops. You are in a foreign country. You don't speak the language of the streets outside. You have no identification that means anything now. The military script is worthless paper. You have no map. You don't know exactly how far home is. You have been here long enough that you aren't sure anymore what home looks like. You learn later, much later, that in some units the women were not left. They were killed. Soldiers understood that witnesses were a problem. Some women were taken to cliffs. Some were in buildings that were set on fire. You don't know this about those stations. You only know about your own. You walk out of the building. The road runs in 2 directions. You have no information about which one leads toward Korea. You choose one and start walking. Estimates suggest fewer than 1 in 3 Korean comfort women survived the war. You are one of them. This is not triumph. It is arithmetic. You start walking anyway. Level 8, the silenced. You make it home. It takes months. You accept help from strangers, work small jobs that ask nothing, keep moving north. When you reach your village, your mother is there. She opens the door. What happens in the years that follow is not unusual among survivors. In Confucian society, a woman's purity is her family's honor. What was done to you is not called a crime in your community. It is called a shame. The shame is transferred to you, not to the men who built the system and ran it. This is not spoken aloud because it doesn't need to be. Everyone understands. You cannot marry. The word about where you were has traveled the way words travel in small places. You find work that asks no questions, domestic work, field work. You live alone. The physical damage from the station, injuries that didn't heal properly, the infertility that most survivors carry. You manage these in silence too, because silence is what the world expects. For 46 years, almost none of the women who survived will speak publicly about what happened. Not because they have forgotten, because they have learned, through the texture of every ordinary day, that speaking produces punishment and silence produces merely invisibility. They choose invisibility. The crime was done to you. The silence is also done to you. You carry both. Level 9. The Witness. On August 14th, 1991, a woman stands in front of a camera. She says her name, her real name. She is 67 years old. Her name is Kim Hak-soon. She says, "I wanted to speak out before I died because no one else would on my behalf." You are old now, too. You have held this inside for almost 50 years. You have watched the Japanese government deny for decades that any of it happened. You have read official statements that use the word comfort as though the word were accurate. Then Kim Hak-soon speaks and something opens. Hundreds of women come forward across Korea, the Philippines, China, Indonesia, the Netherlands. Beginning in January 1992, demonstrators gather outside the Japanese embassy in Seoul every Wednesday. Rain, snow. They come anyway. They have come every Wednesday for more than 30 years. It is the longest-running weekly protest in history. You stand in front of a microphone. There are people in the room, cameras, a table with water you haven't touched. You say your real name, the one from before, the one the nameplate replaced, the one you said quietly to yourself in a room in a foreign country for years. Just to keep it alive. They took your name. They took your country's name. They built a system to take everything else, and they encoded the taking in ledgers and medical charts and military orders, and then they burned the evidence and denied it happened. They could not take this. A voice in a room saying a name out loud. It was always yours. You just had to live long enough to use it. Kim Hak-soon died in 1997 without receiving the legal apology she spent 6 years demanding. The Wednesday demonstrations continue. As of this writing, 6 of the 240 registered Korean survivors remain alive. They still come to the embassy. They still say their names.